Okay, so some of the plants here, when you look at the before shot, there are, I think, 2 or 3 trees here, and the typical barberries, azaleas, and those type of plants. A whole host of those are all gone now. Many of them are on their way out because it's shady here now and not sunny. But the reason I plant some of these plants, you'll see, here are the low grow. This is a cultivar of sumac, and it really holds this corner, which a lot happens at this corner. Mail and trash and all kinds of things. So it really holds a corner. It's very easy to hedge. The same, and you can see the same with the Salix discolor, the native pussy willow, one of the native pussy willows. And you can hedge these. A lot of times I think folks don't realize there's an idea that native plants are just incredibly wild and big and buxom and all that, but they're really no different than any other plant. If you understand how they grow, you can hedge this nicely. So once a year we come out and do that. And this garden now, with its age and maturity, it's having some resiliency now and some regeneration, and we'll talk about that when I get inside the garden. But it really takes very little maintenance. Once a year in the summer we come out, clean it up a little bit. In the spring, obviously, open the garden, clean it up a little bit. And in the winter is when I go in and structurally maybe prune some of these items back. Okay, so here's a section of the garden as you come around the house. And this part of the garden is straight out stolen from Rick Dark. So one of the photos in one of his books, I was always struck how the entrance to his home, he lined it with river birch and some other plants. And it was just so lovely. Well, when I was here, this is a very small slope. You can see it. There's a slope here. It's a little differential. That's all water needs. And my entrance was always flooded, no matter what level of rain. A little soft rain, and then of course in the winter it was a little skating rink. So it really was a challenge. And when I saw that photo and read, a little bit of what he was doing, even though this isn't a river, we're not next to a stream, but we do have a water source here. And so I brought in river birches, and they do the job. There's no water. They suck it right up, and they thrive here. One of the things I did to just sort of illustrate how this garden is a lab is I have straight species river birches, and then I have 2 different cultivars. I have Heritage and what is it called? Durahit. And I wanted to see how that looked. So I put the Durahit and the Heritage closer to the drive, and you'll see straight in there, you'll see the rougher looking in the distance, the darker. Those are straight species river birch, and they all were planted in whips. And that was probably 10, 12 years ago. And now you can see how tall and lovely and the dappled shade we get here. So right now we're standing on our asphalt drive, and before these gardens came in, this was a serious source of radiant heat. I mean, you just could not get out of your car fast enough and into the house to get off this area. Now we linger here. And that's, a change over 12 years when we really started to address this part of the garden. And many of these plants were very, very small. And you just give them a little chance and they go. Underneath here is a soft little hedge of some of our native roses, Rosa Carolina and Rosa Virginiana. And there's a mix in there, and I wanted to see how they do. They don't flower so much anymore, but when all the trees were smaller, you get a lovely view. But I love the texture. I love how soft it is. And when you find the birds darting in and out of there. So I think it has a nice function for them. Maybe we'll go around the corner and look at the woodland in a little more detail. So this garden, I just let it run. I let the plants run. I let them try to find their own place, and they do. Some plants were planted in here where there's a lot more sun. Some have now moved to the edges. Some are now gone, and others have come in. And it's just really fun. Every single season, this garden is different. you'll see there's some Fothergilla here, and I think this is Fothergilla gardini. Last year, all of them were like the one BJ is photographing right now. Beautiful and full. This year, you can see there's another 3 or 4 in there, and they're really sort of sparse. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe something's gotten to them, or maybe they're being shaded out a little bit. I'm not quite sure. But I'll give them a little attention and see what happens. But they give a really nice idea of going towards stratification in a forest. And if you want a true forest, here in the east, you want some stratification. And there are a whole host of ecological reasons for that, which probably don't have a lot of time to talk about it. However, just look into it. And when you look into a true forest here in this area, you should not be able to look all the way straight through. You should be able to just skirt around plants and see that kind of ground layer, mid layer, higher layer, and then canopy. That type of stratification is what a true forest exhibits. So now my house is cool. When I come in, I don't mean it's just cool. I just mean temperature-wise, it's a little cool. And we can linger out here in the front of our house. It's really quite lovely. Even in the hottest, most humid day, you just step into the forest, as we all know, and you're comfortable. We've